Well, good afternoon, everyone, or evening, or morning. I don't know, whatever time zone it is where people are watching from. Uh, I'm trying something a little bit different today, and I'm going to be streaming a uh, on LearnTV, which is a platform that we've got here, and it's one of the team platforms that we, as the advocacy team at Microsoft, use. That allows us to kind of broadcast out to a lot of different places at once. So I'm broadcasting on Learn TV, as I said. I might be broadcasting on one of our Twitch channels as well. I'm not 100% sure if that one is working. Oh, it looks like it is. Cool. So you can join me at the Microsoft Developer Twitch channel, or if that's where you currently are, then welcome. It's my first time streaming on here, so I'm still trying to work out how that all works. Like how I work with the chat and things like that. Yeah, I can see that the layout is hiding some of the chat. That's easy to fix. I will do that a bit later. Yeah, now question is whether that's where the chat button is, I think. Excellent, cool, awesome. Today I'm going to be kicking off a new stream series. I'm going to be playing with a new bit of kit that was announced last week at Microsoft Ignite, which is the Azure Communication Services. So ACS, Azure Communication Services, it's essentially the backend for Teams, and it provides us with all the underpinning of what Teams has. So things like telephone, SMS, like they're built in, but I don't find those as the super interesting things. So what I think is going to be really interesting is the video calling and the chat side of it. So rather than just hiding chat behind an overlay, I actually reordered the overlays like just before I came on, and didn't think about the fact that that is hidden. That's an easy fix. Let's see if we just do live debugging of my own stream and fixing my own stream problems. So like I said, I think the interesting thing with ACS is that it allows us to plug in like the stuff that underpins Teams, chat and video, and kind of put that into our own applications. There we go. Come on, where is my? Maybe it's not letting me. It's not letting me resize. Do this, and that sort of fixes the problem. There we go. And then it reloads the browser source. So now I lose all of the chat that was previously in there. Oh well. Well, let's not sit here and play around with my stream layout, because I'm going to jump off this page. Yeah, let's move on from this page. So this is Azure Communication Services, ACS, as I said. So ACS is designed as something that you can just plug into any application and get the sort of things that you'd want out of like your Teams-based experience. So what I think is the fascinating aspect of this is not so much that we can build our own video chat system. Like that's not a particularly new thing for people to do. Like that, we've had a lot of services that have offered that same functionality for a long time. Where I think it's really interesting is how we can plug into the rest of Azure, because this is running in the Azure backend. Let's say that you wanted to have text chat and integrate that with a chat, or you're doing video chat and you want to do real-time captioning. And we've got services in Azure that can do all of that sort of stuff. And we can make that really easy to just sort of plug into your application. So that's kind of what we're going to be trying to build over the next indeterminate period of time. Is this idea of a custom chat application underpinned by the functionality of Teams. So there is a bunch of samples that are available for ACS. It's at github.com/Azure/communication. There's a couple of samples, and I've actually got one of them down here. I'll pop over to my VS Code. I did mean to change the font size. So I'm just going to do that because I know it's a little bit smaller on stream. We'll bump it to 20. There we go. That's a little bit better. I also got a new computer since the last time I did any sort of streaming. So I'm like, oh, what can I tweak on here? And what's going to work better? So this is, I've been digging around inside of the code base of the sample video calling application that is available. And it's made up of two things. It's got a .NET server and then a React.js client application. Now, the reason the .NET server exists, we'll get into a bit, but it's essentially managing the access control for your backend into ACS. And if we come into terminal, so I've got it up and running. Let's punch that into a browser. That's going to be near enough to a URL that's useful. Hey, I can edit in here. Excellent. Got that. Okay, so this is the .NET Core application up and running. The way that it works, so we presented with this thing, we say start call. It's going to initialize the call client, sets up some user information. It's then going to give us some access to camera options. Looks like for some reason it has been unable to give us some camera options. That's an interesting one to debug. There's a lot of red in that console. Oh yeah. It's possibly having an issue because my primary camera is currently being used by OBS to do our live stream. But, well, there we go. Found our first bug in the sample application. Anyway, normally we can select a camera there or select from different cameras that we have connected. And I actually have a couple of cameras connected to this machine. Different microphones that I've got available, and then you can start the call, and then it's like a video call, kind of the way that you would expect a video call to be. We can toggle on and off audio. But what's really interesting here is that we haven't signed into anything like this. Is not signed into AAD or anything like that. The authentication is kind of it's bring your own device essentially. So whatever your auth model is going to be, whether it is like I said, whether it's Azure Directory, or you're using something like Okta or Auth0, or just an OIDC server that you've stood up yourself, or you've completely rolled a custom authentication model. This is all easily plugged into ACS, at least from what I've been able to determine from the samples that I've looked at and the documentation that I've had to read. But hey, that's what we're here to try and work out, is it as kind of capable as what it seems like it should be able to do. So without further ado, let's get started in actually building our application. So I'm just going to terminate this one here. I'm going to keep the sample around because we might jump back and forth and refer to it just because I'm still working out what the SDK looks like and things like that. But we are going to start a new application. And my intent is that we can deploy this into static web apps. If you've seen any of my previous streams, you'll know that I do a lot of stuff with Azure Static Web Apps. I think it's a fantastic service. I realized that my camera is sitting a little bit low. Where's my camera? There it is. Just gonna tweak that up a little bit so it's sitting on the overlay rather than not. Yeah, that's a bit better. So I've created this static web app starter kit. It's at github.com/ASWA.react template. And this is just a Git template repo where I can go and create a new application. And so it comes with create React app as the UI aspect, and then it sets up the skeletons for Azure Functions, installs some dependencies, and kind of is ready to go for static web app. So I should have come up with a good code name for this beforehand, but I didn't. So let's call it. Okay, Mitch. I see that you're on the stream. Have you got any? This is probably a dangerous one to ask. Has anyone got a suggestion of what they want to use as the name? for me to just flat out ignore anyway. Codename Curly. Conference, no. Corley. Ellie? That looks a bit more like Corley. Corley! There we go. We're going to call it Corley because that is what I'm probably going to rename this. Codename. Didn't GitHub actually used to give us code names? Oh, yeah, it does. Super duper Enigma. Super. Yeah, we're going to go with super duper Enigma. I'm going to completely forget what that is down the track, so we better put a description. Sample and video calling application using Azure communication services. Cool. So let's kick that off. Clone this repository, and then we'll bring this down onto our machine. I also have gone ahead and already created the. Oh, cool! I've already got vulnerabilities. Fantastic. Thanks to Penbot. I've already gone ahead and created a ACS resource inside of Azure. So we will be using that one, and I am going to move off, move things off stream while I put in secrets and stuff like that, because you don't need to see what those are. So let's come into GitHub, clone. I've been playing around with the GitHub CLI. It got released a couple of weeks ago. Has anyone else played with that? I'm actually finding it quite nifty. Like I tend to try and run things as bare bones as possible, but I actually quite like the GitHub CLI. I've even got an alias, so we can go repos, Aaron Pal. So I can repos. Let's spell that. So I can list out all of the repos that I've got in my inside of an organization, and then I can do rep, and let's do trivia, because I know I've got a heap of those. So then I can find repos with a particular name, and my thought was then I could go through and delete them easily, so I could find all my test repos. But I can't figure out how to use the GitHub API to delete, so I kind of didn't get there yet. Super duper Enigma. Here we go. Now let's just kick off an npm install of a few different things. Probably need to lower that a little bit further, the stream overlay, because I can see that it's just clipping half a line of the terminal. It's also hiding my IP nicely, so that's a positive. That one's going to go ahead and start. We'll wait till everything's installed before we kick this off. Now, another thing that that I'm going to play around with is the authentication stuff in static web apps. I haven't actually had a chance to really do much with that yet. I haven't built a whole lot of authenticated applications, so maybe that's a bit of a problem anyway. But what I'm going to do with this is use the authentication stuff that's built in. So it gives us GitHub Auth and Facebook and Twitter and Google and Azure AD, I think, as well. I'm sure there's one that I'm missing. Maybe probably Microsoft accounts, to be honest. Reload window. So we're going to use that, and that is actually going to provide us a little bit of a challenge for doing locally. So let's just install all the rest of these things. Can't seem to. VS Code doesn't want to start. That's going to be really. That's going to be really problematic if I can't get VS Code to start. Let's kill my code windows. Close. I may need to restart WSL. So I've noticed a couple of times with WSL that I tend to, if you have too many things open, and particularly big code bases, it can get to the point where it's trying to attach too many watches to all the files on disk, and then that gets really bad. Auth code plus PKCE. Is that what you're recommending for my authentication model here, Mitch? I can tell you, I'm probably not going to do that. WSL exe shut down. Let's just restart it. Cool. Terminal Ubuntu. Start a new one. And come into our Enigma. I'll let's hope that we can actually connect this time, because it's going to be really annoying if I can't. Oh, right. Sorry, you've your stuff for doing a smart. No, and not quite. So with static web apps, we've got an authentication model behind the scenes, which is using Easy Auth, which is the authentication model that's in Azure App Services. Now, what that gives us is the ability to just very simply set up like an authentication model, but it actually takes care of a whole lot of it sitting in front of the way your application works. So a lot of it happens somewhat transparently, the way that you connect with your provider and the way that you get access management done, and then the way that you can get user profile information out from the backend store. So we'll have a look at that as well in a little bit. Now, looks like we got that up and running. But there is one. Actually, let's go MS docs. So I still know that active link works. So this is restrict access. So if you want to set up stuff using the authentication pipelines in Azure Static Web Apps, this is what it talks about. AAD, GitHub, Facebook, Google, and Twitter. Yeah, actually, I got it all right. Excellent. So it takes care of a lot of the stuff that sits in for your application. There is one fundamental problem, that this is something that's run by app service. So for local development, I don't have app service. So yeah, you reckon you can see the problem there? So authentication actually doesn't work locally because, well, we don't have the app service available to us locally. So we've got to work out some other way that we can do authentication locally that is still going to be representative of what happens when it's in production. You tried to implement something similar yourself, did you, Mitch? So this is kind of running in the load balancer that sits at front of app service. So I don't actually know how static web apps is implemented inside of Azure, but from the observations that I've got of like the way requests happen, is there's something like a reverse proxy that sits in there, because you're running two web servers behind the scenes. You've got the thing that's serving out the static assets, your CSS, HTML, JavaScript, etc. And then you've got the thing that's running Azure Functions for your API backend. So you need to have both of them exposed as an endpoint. So there's something like a reverse proxy or something that's sitting in front of that. So the request coming to that and then works out where the request has got to go, and then does internal requests across to them. You can sort of see this in action using the Azure Functions. I came across it one day. I tried to make a request from like one Azure function to another, and what happens is it gives you back the internal URL the Azure function is running on, which you're not meant to have access to. Well, I mean, it's there, but you can't really do anything with it because it doesn't get exposed properly. So we have this problem of I need to set up authentication locally, but, well, it's designed to be run in Azure. So how are we going to do this? We are going to use something that one of my colleagues has been building. He's been building an emulator for the way authentication works in static web apps. You'll find it at his GitHub account here. I will chuck that into chat. And it is it's basically a standalone node tool where you can run it, and then he recommends that you install globally, but I have opinions about whether or not you should install something globally. So we're going to try and install this as a local dependency, use npx. And then you can start it up, and it will attempt to do things like discover where your YAML file is for your static web app, pull out the config information, and emulate the way that it's running in production, including emulating the authentication flow. This is actually the primary thing that he was trying to do, is emulate the authentication flow. But in doing that, he also essentially emulates the way a lot of functionality works in static web apps by having these three backend servers running that are all served out through a reverse proxy. So we're going to get started. I think I've installed all of my dependencies. Yeah, I did that. Where is it? This is the one I want. We are going to install this, but without the G. We're going to install that with a -d as a dev dependency. And this will do a bunch of stuff. Now, one thing that I know is going to be a problem because I hit this recently is that the emulator expects the YAML file to exist on disk. So if you haven't previously deployed to static web apps, well, it doesn't like it. Like it will not be able to find the dependencies it needs to find, and as a result, you end up not being able to deploy stuff to, not being able to run the emulator. So we're going to go to the Azure portal, and I will go to the non-custom portal so that you don't see all the super secret internal Microsoft stuff around the way the portal works. It's not really exciting. Anyway, I think if you watch like Ignite sessions and build sessions, plenty of people have the internal portal appear. Okay, so we're going to create a static web app, and we'll add it here. Excellent. Okay, so we'll create a new resource group, ACS stream. Yeah, we'll call it ACS stream. Maybe this is hard. Actually, sorry, what's it called? Super duper enigma. And I will just chuck it there. We'll chuck it in East Asia because that's the closest one to me. We'll sign in. Don't accidentally grant permissions to everything. Select the organization. Super duper enigma. Oh, no. I'm going to change it. It's on, the branch is still called master. I've been meaning to fix that up. Hit checkout. Main. Add. Commit. Adding emulator. And then we're going to push and main, and then I'm going to delete the master branch at a later point. We'll do that kind of off stream. But we're going to do everything in the master branch for this application. Problem is that I'm now going to have to swap to something else, come back to Enigma, use the main branch, and this is a React application. Tags, this is just some internal stuff I need to put an alias so that we know who is the person at Microsoft that this is linked up to. So I'll add myself to that tag. Create. And kick this off. Yeah, I'm obviously doing this in Node and React and things like that, but you could do this in Blazor. If anyone caught the announcement last week at Ignite, we now have support for Blazor and .NET backends for Azure Functions. For static web apps. I was really excited about that because I got to work on that announcement. I got to work on I do all the pre-work in the lead up for that. So yeah, I got to run an announcement blog on the ASP.NET website, so that was exciting for me. You can also do Python backends if Python is more of your preferred. But Yeah. No. We're going to set that. Yeah. So I can do this in .NET, but I'm doing this in JavaScript because the samples that I've been seeing, like it's predominantly client side anyway, so we kind of want it all there. Now, okay, so what have we got? We got all of these things installed. Yep. And the last thing I need to do is I need to create a new trigger. I'm probably actually going to. Oh, I need to copy across some stuff, don't I? I've got the hosts. Hosts. Yeah. I'm just going to bring in from. Whoa, not there. I'm going to go. I've been playing around with this a little bit, as you might have guessed. So I'm bringing the local settings to here. Yep. And then if we do npx func new, there we go. So that that time it's actually detected what the runtime is. That it is a node application. Oh, sorry, it is a set of node Azure function. So now I don't have to be prompted for that, and everything is set up correctly. We are going to choose option 8. So we want a HTTP trigger, and we'll call this invoke. Issue. Okay. Now I'll come back to what this one's going to do in a little bit, but I need to sort of set some of this stuff up because when we run the static web apps emulator, and I go split that way, no, that way, and then we're going to split across the bottom here, and to super duper enigma and super duper enigma. Here we go. Okay. Now, if we do npx swa help. So this is the sort of stuff that we can configure with the emulator. Now, with the emulator, like I said, it will try and discover a lot of the things from the YAML file. So from that, it will work out where you're actually building your assets out to. So like, where's the files on disk that your application will publish to, because it wants to serve out essentially the production version of it. Similarly, with it'll try and work out where your API lives inside of your code base based off of the GitHub Action workflow file for static web apps. And that's how it knows how to start up your Azure functions. But because, well, I'm running the Azure functions in TypeScript, so they need a precompile step before they can be run. And I kind of want to be, I don't want to run this off just the static output. I want to have this constantly updated because we're going to be deving it at the same time. For that, we're going to be using the API, the app URI and the API URI configuration parameters to run our emulator. What that does is it, by default, it will want to start up its own proxy servers for your backends, whether it's the functions backend or the web application backend. But you can provide it and say, no, they're actually already running. Here are the endpoints. Just kind of push them across to that. And that's going to work a lot better for the scenario that we've got, where we're kind of doing live development and using the emulator as a tool to support live development. So we're going to do npm start here, which will start the create React app, and we're going to do npm start here, which will run the Azure functions. And fingers crossed, both of those are going to be up and running. Yep, and we just have to allow access to the file. I open up all of the things on Windows Firewall. So there's, hang on a sec. I forgot the Azure Functions runtime only supports Node versions 12 and 10 and 12, I think it is. But I've got Node 14, as you can see there. Do echo 12 to nbmrc fm use. Cool. So NVMRC is a convention-based file for setting the node version that you are going to be running for your for an environment. So I'm just echoing that out so that I've got that file on disk, and I use FNM, which is a node manager, a node version manager. I don't use NVM because I've always had issues trying to use it on shells other than Bash. So I just use FNM, which seems to work just fine. And I am going to echo that here as well. Echo 12 to NVMRC and FNM use. Cool. There we go. npm start. So now we should be able to run our function as host. Get them running in a minute. Let's wait and see. Excellent. So there is the issue token running. There is our web application running. And now I should be able to go npx swa app URI is localhost 3000, and then the API URI is localhost 7071. Here's the other bug that I've reported. It doesn't install all the sub-dependencies of the emulator properly. So we're going to go into node modules at there, and we have I have to do npm install on the emulator itself, because this is not designed to be run as a local dependency. It's supposed to be a global install, and then that gets that doesn't have this same problem that I'm experiencing right now, where it can't find concurrently. But I'm actually going to have a chat with my colleague who's been building this next week, and kind of talk through this as a use case and see if we can't come to working out a better way to sort of tackle this as a good approach to doing development. Yeah. Okay. Go. File system locks. So many file system locks. This error happens to me when I've got the VS Code instance open and I'm trying to do an npm install. It for some reason can't copy some of the files across, and I don't know enough about how npm works internally to know how to do that. And I don't get why I get permission denied. I think that's because the watches inside of VS Code are being too aggressive on that folder. Like, that'd be my guess, but that's a somewhat uneducated guess of why something might not be working. Okay. And it still failed. Because I have file system watches everywhere. Let's just start again. Let's kill everything. Let's go. Ooh. I'm just checking out how the streams are going on IllLearnTV as well. And I'm realizing that I actually made a smart decision by I originally had the little bit of details about myself on the other side of the screen rather than where it's currently sitting. But that would be obscured by an indicator that appears in the IllLearnTV stream. So it's a good thing that I didn't that up. I really didn't want to like having a desktop PC as much as I seem to be enjoying it. Right now, I am streaming, running a bunch of Windows and stuff like that. Plus, I have two versions of the stream being played back to me, one on IllLearnTV and one on Twitch. And my computer is just like, yeah, it's just working fine. I don't know what the problem could be. I didn't want to like having a desktop this much. I really enjoy having a laptop, but it's not a powerful enough machine to do sort of video content. Like, like I'm wanting to do instead. Ah, so close. NPX. Okay. Oh, and then let's npm start. npm start. Oh, whoops. npm start. npx start. See if we get all these up running. So we need to start all of the backend or the proxy 2 servers before we can start the emulator, because otherwise I found some unusual things happening when we do it that way. Deployment's done. That's all there. Well, good. Where's my web server? Should be up and running. Excellent. So that's running. Let's start our emulator. Fingers crossed it actually works better. Oh, I've done it from the wrong folder, so that's not a good idea. There we go. npx start. Okay. Just detect that we're running node. Oh, that's the other problem. It doesn't like running on, by default it wants to run on port 80, but it doesn't like that on WSL, so we're just going to bump it to port 8080. There we are. Now, if we are to fire up localhost 8080, we still have our React application. Yay! Which is precisely what we want. Congratulations, I've managed to start up a application, and it has taken way too many bits of code to have been able to do that, but it worked. And rather than typing this in every single time, I'm going to chuck that into my package JSON. I'm in the wrong darn folder. Let's drop back to here. We're JSON, and then we are going to create a script that we'll call Emulator. Now, so what the emulator gives us, like I said, it gives us the authentication endpoints. I've just seen Andy's posted in the Twitch chat. You need one mini ITX machine when you're back on the road to keep with you. Yeah. One of my colleagues actually has built a mini ITX, and he took a week and a half off, went up the coast, and took it with him, plus a monitor, basically so he could play Flight Sim for a week while sitting at the beach. Or I suppose probably sitting physically at the beach while playing Flight Sim, but yeah, it's definitely one way to go about it. So I've got a mini ATX motherboard, so it's got 2 PCIe slots, but I put it into a standard ATX case just in case I want to expand down the track. So I've got some levels of expansion that are viable, but right now I don't have enough PCIe slots that I could really do too much more to what I've got. Like I'm not doing like a dual PC setup inside a single case or anything like that. Now I have to set up all the cooling that would be required to achieve that. Okay, so we're up and running. So where is my React application? Not there. It is on this screen. So the way this works is if I could do go to like .auth, do like .auth slash GitHub slash login slash GitHub. So what will happen if we do that is this kicks off the authentication flow, and we'll bring it up just here in the output here. So we can see that we've done like an auth request that's happened here. It's done to there. It's done a get request. It's actually bounced me out. It's come back, and now I'm back at the web application. But if I was to pop my terminal, just pop that a little, and then run a fetch on /auth/me, so this is the endpoint to get back your profile when you're logged in or when you're logged out. It will also return you the logged out version of the profile. It will just return return the promise. This is fetch, and we'll do console.log. And we'll see that the response that we get back is, well, not helpful because I forgot to unpack that as a response. So we'll just look at it here. So we get back this client principal, and this is all mocked out data. It's not actually a real user account, but it at least means that I can simulate that I'm logged in as a person, which will get us at least some of the way to what we're trying to achieve. Let's pop a new terminal. And we'll just commit getting thing the boilerplate setup. Okay. Now we can actually start trying to implement some of the stuff that we need for the way that we work with communication services. Now, like I said before, communication services doesn't bring an authentication model. It's designed for BYO auth. So whether you're using static web apps auth or a third-party auth provider like Auth0 or Okta or GitHub or Facebook, etc., it doesn't really matter. But you still need some way to be able to identify people and to make sure that they're kind of allowed to make video calls. So it's sort of up to you to put in the appropriate gates along the way. But what we have to do is we have to provide a way to issue tokens for the user account that is signed in. And the way that we do that is, well, that's why I created this issue token. Yep, so that is set up correctly. So this issue token function is going to be responsible for issuing the token for the user when they are logging in. We'll come back over to the docs, and you'll find it. This is the part of the docs that talks about it. So we're going to need to have a node package, which is the communication authentication package. We're going to need to grab that. So I'll copy that for the moment. Copy that, and we'll import it. Terminal to, and we'll come into the API so this is only relevant in the API. So I think so. This is the thing that we can run on your server, and we'll install that. And of course, this is written in TypeScript, so I get TypeScript definitions, which is fantastic. While it's installing, let's have a look at what the docs are saying about it. So we're going to need to create a communication identity client. And that's the thing that's responsible for issuing tokens. There's three kinds of tokens that you can issue. Some features may or may not work to the level that we're hoping them to work. And the VoIP stuff does work despite what that asterisk says, because I've played around with it already. And then you can also revoke access tokens and things like that. So we're going to need to have the connection string for our resource, which I've already popped into the local settings.json file for Azure Functions. We create the communication identity client, and then we create a user. Now you'll notice here that the way they're creating the user is there's nothing identifying about this user. It's just we're just creating a user account this is a user identity that's owned by communication services. And that's where you then combine that with your own authentication model, which we'll start to do. Come back over here. So we're going to need to import communication identity client. Identity client from Azure Communication Administration. And I'm just going to move this off screen to double check what the name is. There it is. So we're going to create our const identity client. Is a new communication identity client, and then it's going to need the connection string, which I said I've already created and hidden from everyone's view. So that's there, done, excellent. And then we'll have our Azure function. Our Azure function, we're going to make this a get only request. So let's just remove post from here because we don't need post. Yep, it's an async function. So we're going to need to have a name. So we'll make the expectation that you're providing us with a name. So if there's no name that's been provided, we will then return the context.res, and we'll do a status of 401. No, 401. 401's bad request, I'm pretty sure. And then body. The user name is required to establish to ensure their access token. Okay, and then return. Now, if that's valid, they do have it. If we do have a name, then we will do const user equals identity client dot create user. Const token response is going to be user identity client issue token. So we issue token for the user, and then we are going to give them we're going to define the scopes. VoIP. So they're going to get VoIP. That we need to await. An asynchronous operation, and then we're going to await on that. And then we will return the token. Will be token response token, and this also gives us an expiry. So expiry token dot expires on. Should call it expires on. Now you might be wondering, well, like I passed in this name, but what do we actually do with that server side? And the short answer is right now, nothing. Like we're just kind of more making sure that that's been provided, and we're going to have to probably do some more stuff to make it more intelligent the way authentication is handled. Because yeah, right now it's just kind of like, hey, yeah, you provided us with a name. Actually, no, I even need to provide it with. No, we don't need to do it that way. I am somewhat mistaken. Let's go back to the static web apps docs, because I can get the name of the user via their user information, and we're going to do that in the API functions. So this comes in on a header called XMS client principal. So this is what EasyAuth will be providing through to us. So we're going to unpack that as JSON. Then const, what's it called? Principal? Yeah, principal equals that. And then client principal data. So we are going to have, what will get the user? Does it exist? Like if define a type client principal. Just going to create a TypeScript type for this, which we did that, and then we'll change this to that. I'll change these to strings. Whoops, string, and then that will be a string array. And then on client principal. And then I think it's going to be if principal dot user ID. So I don't think we get a user ID if you haven't already signed in. Now, is there any point, like, how do we're creating new users every single time. And probably for as much as we're going to tackle today, and at the very least today, that's kind of fine. That we'll just deal with the fact that we don't have a whole lot of we're going to be creating a new user every time you connect, even if you are trying to connect as try to reconnect as someone. But ultimately, I think what you're probably going to want to do is have your identity provider's user ID. So in this case, I get a user ID as part of the claims information or the client principal that I get back from that custom header from EasyAuth. You probably want to store that somewhere with the identity client user, because this user, if we actually, I'm going to just chuck user identity. No, ACS user ID will be user communication user ID. We'll call it that. Map properties 1-to-1. So this communication user ID, you kind of want to map to your own store user ID. And then every time you issue tokens, you want to kind of issue it for the same user. Like, so you're reissuing that same user's tokens, not creating a new user every single time. I don't quite know how much these would break if you tried to issue create a user every single time, but I think it seems like a suboptimal approach to doing things. Well, that is our Azure function up and running. Now, if we to come back to our browser, pop the console, clear, reload that, and then if we do fetch to issue token, here's what I prepared earlier. See what happens. Computer go boom. Yeah. It didn't do anything. Maybe my Azure functions are not running. Let's start them up again. There we go. Okay, so Azure functions is running. Okay. Theoretically, that works. Okay, yeah, sweet, there we go. Just map that function route. It did call it issue token, right? It is called issue token. Okay, well. Oh, wait, no, there we go. We did get a request. Excellent, it has finally brought through the request. Others might. And look, here we go. So here is an access token for that user to talk to communication services. Sweet. So then that's what we'll use in the browser to do all of our interactions, and I like to establish connections back from the client, which is ultimately untrusted. And you'll see we have our expiry, so that token is going to expire at a point in time. It looks like a 24-hour token, maybe. Yeah, I think that's probably a 24-hour token. So you need to keep refreshing. So if you were doing something that was like long-term persistence, probably more common in text-based chat than it would be in video chat. You would have to refresh that constantly. And there's a user ID. Like I said, we would probably use that to combine with our user that we have on the if we were storing the user, so we could compare that, connect that with the client principal data. I'm just curious to see what happens if we were to curl localhost 7071/API issue token. Like, that should give me a 401 response back. 500 server error. Okay. Okay, well, let's have a look. So, issue token. So it has errored on line 17 of the hard JavaScript, which. Okay, so we don't actually get because I didn't issue the header at all. Yeah, so That's to be expected. I think if we're not signed in, static web apps will still have the header. Auth sign out. Log out. Okay. So now we're logged out. What do we get back? Okay, so we got a 500 error still. I might need to do some proper error handling. Anyway, theoretically, we won't ever be trying to issue tokens while you're not logged in. So let's just ignore our error. Status, git status, git add. We're implementing the token issue service for ACS clients. Issue backend. Right. Done. Now it's time to get rid of our UI. So from this service standpoint, we're done. Unless you want to put like persistence of tokens for users and blah, 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 which we're not doing at the moment. It is now just entirely down to the client. So I'm going to delete all of this code. I'm going to delete that class name. I'm going to delete the logo. And delete the logo from disk. And then I am going to delete all the CSS. And we're going to have a ultra basic application, which is going to need like a number of different pages and stuff like that. So let's add npm install the React router DOM. That's it. It's not a scoped package with apps. I'm pretty sure it's just React router DOM. Because we're going to set up multiple pages. So the first page is going to be let's go pages/home 6, which is it's not what our app is going to be. So home will import React from React, and then where my advanced home page, and then this will return a div with a h1 home page, and then export default home page. Cool. So let's install React router DOM. We're going to then set up some of this stuff. So we want a router. No, what is it? It's import browser React from React router DOM. As router, route. I don't have types installed. Yes, of course. npm-d and types of that. I feel this is actually going a lot more smoothly than when I normally try and stream. Like nothing is phenomenally broken. Famous last words. And we're going to import switch. Okay, so we want a router. And then inside of here we'll have route. Exact match or slash. It's going to be the component of home page. Actually, no, so we want switch. Switch. Wait, why did I want switch again? Do I need switch? Yeah, I think Yeah, pretty sure I put the routes inside a switch, and that will be doing the stuff that I need to do. Okay, now application. One thing the emulator doesn't do, which is a little bit annoying, is it doesn't support the hot reload, so it tends to I have to force the reload on that, which is disappointing. Let's just do some little CSS body margin 0 auto, and then width 1024. So I think that's how we that yeah, there we go. There's center aligned content essentially. Yep, that's what I was after. Cool. We'll just do a basic center align. We'll bring in some CSS libraries and stuff later to design things out. Okay, so we've got our home page, and with inside of this, we're actually going to turn that into a. No, we're going to create a home page. This will have a section instead of a div, because we should, and then we'll do a P. So welcome to our awesome video calling application. Let's get started. Then we'll put a button, start a call. And that's going to need to do stuff at some point. So think about okay, so what does the start call process look like? Well, we need to kind of, I guess, show that sort of landing screen where you can choose your camera and microphone and choose whether you're joining with audio and whatnot. Yeah, and be able to preview and things like that. So that's kind of what the start button is going to do. We'll actually, it's also where we're going to have to check to make sure you're logged in. So we're going to do, kind of like an authentication check. Yeah. Cool. I have to look at how we do authentication with React Router. So what do I get? Fetch. What's the me endpoint return when I'm not logged in? And null client principal. That's it. Yeah. Cool. That's easy enough to deal with. Okay. So React router web, and then redirects auth. Let's see. Okay, so we got public protected. So how does this work? Yeah, fake auth, etc. So the private route. So this is a route. Yeah. Okay. So private route. So that's if we hit protected page. So it's overriding the render, and it just checks if fake auth is authenticated, and is, or return the children. Otherwise, it does a redirect to the login page. Now, fake auth. How do they implement auth? Okay. Righto. So they just do you click on the login button, it does some stuff. Okay. We can create some of this. We're going to do component / protected route.psx. I'm going to start off doing things properly. Import React from React, and then Copy and paste that code. That's the easiest way to do it. Import route from router DOM. Children has a type. Yeah. Import redirect from that. Children. So render will. I wonder what it's expected to return. So I think there should be like jsx.element. No, that's supposed to be. Not sure what the type of that is needing to be. Probably because that fake auth doesn't work yet. We'll need some way to detect if we are logged in. And we might do that with context. No, we won't try and overcomplicate things yet. So consts logged in, set authenticated, auth, set auth, and that will be use state false. We are not auth, and so instead of fake auth, that we will do if we are auth, we'll return children, and if not, we are going to do use effect. We'll do an effect on startup, which doesn't take any arguments, so it's just like it's a run once, and then we will do fetch. No, this. No, that's not going to work because it needs to have that value already available to it when you've navigated in. Because otherwise, like this redirect will render or redirect immediately. We won't wait for the fetch to complete. So I am actually going to need to lift outside of this component the authentication stuff, and that's possibly where we would use context. Yes. Let's add authentication context tsx and React from React. We'll const authentication context, React create context, and we're going to probably need to find a type here, but we can come back to that. Authenticated false, and we'll const authentication context provider will be authentication context dot provider. No. I don't remember how to set this bit up. It's been a while since I've used React context. React create context, and yeah. So we got this context provider, which is the thing that you then put somewhere in your application to provide context. But I'm essentially trying to create a component that you inject, which takes care of the setting up of the context information, so this will be where we do auth and then set auth. We use state of false, and then we will use effect here is where we would do that. Run once. Then it will be fetch.auth/me. Then res.json. Then JSON if JSON was a client principal. So if that exists, then auth, we set auth of true, and we're going to add some additional state, which will be the actual user, const user client principal, and set client principal. And that will be use state. No, there is no principal initially. I actually also want the type that I defined up here. Should put that type in a shared location later. Later when we do some cleanup. There we go, and that will be client principal. And then we will set client principal to JSON client principal. And then that's not needed there. We will return we do authentication context provider. Value is going to be auth and client principal. Let's rename that, and then we're going to need to. The client principal is going to be a undefined or a client principal. Client principal. No, but it is actually going to be a type authentication context type is authenticated. Whoa. Authenticated of Boolean, and then client principal of client principal or undefined. There we go. That goes there. The context will be auth context type. Done. Undefined. Yep. That. And then I do actually kind of want children. That way, yeah, we want children. Because then we would put the children out here. Children. It doesn't like it because it is not strongly typed. I've done this on a recent project. Let's go find something recent that I've been doing with React, where I can just copy my existing code. I have so many repositories. Oh, hey Jack. Welcome to the stream. Things are actually working, which is scary because you've seen enough of my streams to know things don't work first time, do they? Maybe in here. Check out my trigger app. I think I might have created a provider in here. Maybe. No. Bugger. It's working. I just can't remember how to implement parts of it. So that still class is working, right? I have so many repositories. So many repositories. Here we go. I know I've got a provider inside of here somewhere. context, auto context. Oh, did I not create a context provider? I was sure I did. It's not layout CSS. Yeah, TSX. So how's your first day of leave going, Jack? Obviously well enough that you've joined into a stream. Hmm. Yeah, because I don't want to lift up all this logic of doing. But I mean, I suppose I can. It's just let's have a look at types in here. It's an exotic component. Ooh. Provider is provider exotic components, which is an exotic component, which is just an interface. Yeah. Or do I turn on implicit any's? Let's not turn on implicit any's. No, I'm going to create a custom hook instead, because then I can lift stuff out. Let's create a new file, hooks, and then that will be client. Use. What? No, what is a hook? You got bored of Netflix. Did you check out the social dilemma? That is a great Netflix series and a frightening Netflix. Great like single documentary on Netflix, and it is scary at the same time. Yeah, I watched it with my wife the other night, and it's like, well, yeah, social media is truly destroying the world. I think we already knew that, but this like really validated that it was destroying the world. I can't remember what children needs to be off the top of my head to make these happy. I think I just do JSX.element. No, we don't do that. We have to go. Children with that. There we go. Now it is pseudo strongly typed. And then we'll export. Wait. I don't think it was me that you were staring up on Twitter. No, it wasn't me. Oh, that's a first. You should watch the. Yeah. Should, yeah. Wait, no, you were making a funny. You were trying to make a funny there, weren't you, Jack? I getcha. So we're going to export all of the things and export that. Ooh, I need to. Yeah, and it's also captured on stream, so everyone can relive that I was like, oh, Jack made a funny. Oh wait, wait, hang on. Hang on. No, so yeah, we don't export like that. We will export the type up there. Ta-da! I like the spelling mistake that I've got there, so we're going to fix that up. That, and then we're going to const use authentication text. Use context, and then we provide it with the authentication context. Authentication context. Ta-da! Ta-da! Then we export the hook. Use authentication context. Look at that. There we go. Now I should be able to come back into the protected route. That we'll have a children of JSX element. There we go. We don't need to use effective use state. Instead, we will have a we will const auth context because and then authenticated was use authentication context. Look at that. Oops. There. And then that will be if authenticated. I think that's our private route. Export default private. Go on, Jack. You can create the clip. If you really want to, you can create the clip. Okay, there's the authenticated route. So now everything we should be able to specify will be needing you to be logged in. Now we're going to go. So we'll create the page, or which is connect.tsx. So this is the one which will allow you. This will set up the connection const. Yeah. Import React from React. We'll const connect page is going to be just page 1 connect, and then export default connect page. And I need the login page. We don't need a login page. Login.tsx. React, and then const login page equals that page 1 login, and then we are export default login page. We'll come back up to app to find a bunch of these routes. The exacts on the rest of them. The login, and this will be connect, the login page, and the connect page. Okay, so the login page is going to have a section which inside is going to say login, and then we'll just do a li, which will have login via .auth login github, and we'll add other providers down the track. Just we'll add Twitter, I think, while we're at it. Login via Twitter. Now on the home. Yep. On click is going to go use history. Yeah, we're going to need to use history from React Router so that we can do the navigation event. Return const history. Use history, and then history.push to connect. And connect, actually, up here, this will be a protected route. What? Oh. supported, right? Ah, no. It's private route. Yeah, protected route. Ta-da! Import protected route. Then, yeah. Yeah, actually, that should be just protected route. Route props. Route props. There we go. That's better. Now that should be valid on there. Because protected route has that. Just wait for everything to cascade back up. Why is that not detecting the prop type correctly? Class route extends route to route props. Let's have a look at the terminal and see if that is just no. Match string component element is not assignable to intrinsic props and route props. So what does route props has component? It doesn't have match though. That's annoying. T extends route props. Props extends route component T any. That is in component, location, friender, children. Yeah, it's extending the right thing. Where is match? Match. Why? Where? Route component props? No. Route children props? No. Why does it work? Why does that work? Oh, this is getting annoying. Damn TypeScript. Getting in my way. Unless I've got like a very outdated version. React Router. There's a React Router. Oh, wait, no, hang on a sec. I need that. W2. Now I installed the correct React Router types. Router DOM is 5.2. Router types is near enough that like match has been there for a long time. It shouldn't be a problem. T. Let's just copy this full signature of it. T extends that. And then this is going to be T. And then that one. Sometimes I get confused as where the TypeScript pipe engine picks up things from. But it's picked up something. Finally, we're there, we're done. Let's come back to our application. Load. Okay, so if we go now, We are not logged in from the best of my knowledge. So if we hit start call, we didn't do anything. Yay! Relocate. Yay! It didn't do anything. Because protect route. No. Redirect to login. Yeah. We'll look at the components. What's programmatic navigation look like? It's not. It's used location. No history replace. Or history replace. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to be doing on the button click. History dot replace. Did that do anything? I don't think it did anything. I mean, it says that it went somewhere, but it didn't actually go anywhere. That seems wrong. There we go, Jack. It's not working. Yay! Use history. Yeah, so use history that you may use to navigate. Yeah, so it should have been push. This is where he just stares confused at the computer and hoping that something will actually work. Chances are it won't just magically start working for me. Okay, history. Push. Go. Moves the pointer to a history stack at a position. No, it's like it's push. I'm sure of it. Where is my focus? Switch, match on login. It should render the login. Okay, well, what happens if we go to /login? Well, it shows the homepage again. That really doesn't make sense. Okay, let's have a look back here. Switch route. It's path, not match. Oh, this is where you just kind of cry a little to yourself. Start call. It's problematic because I didn't put context actually in the stack, did I? No, I didn't. So I have attempted to use context where context isn't exact. You should not use route component. You should use route render. I should not use route component and route render in the same thing. So what do they? They just stick it in as child. Yeah, that's doable as well. Such route, and then next page. Yeah, we'll do that. That's fine. Now I need to put the context provider in here. So I'm actually going to do that outside of the router. I'll do. Let's grab the name of it here. Boom. That. We'll then do that. And then we are importing that. Reload. Yes! It redirected us because we aren't logged in yet. And then if I navigate and then hit start call, we go to the connect page. Ta-da! Look at that! It's working! Basic flow through authentication. Yeah, we don't have logout buttons or anything like that. Details. We'll get to that sort of stuff in time. But in the interim, we are going to commit because we have some stuff that is working. And building out some basic pages and handling the auth flow through the app. Yeah, well, yeah, who logs out? You don't need to log out. No, okay, so now that we're logged in, so then the first thing that the connect that we should be doing from this page is this is where you're going to want to try and get the access token for the user. So we might end up with another bit of context, but I'm not going to do that just yet. We're going to pretend that the connect page is doing everything. Whoops, and then that can return. So this is going to use const token, set token equals use state, and we don't have a token initially, and then we'll use effect name single run effect on page load. We are going to go, I'm going to make this an async function, async run const run is an async function, just because I prefer the running things with the async and await keyword against promises. We're const res equals await fetch on API / issue token, and const JSON is await we get token response is await res.json, and then I'm gonna probably have to lift another type out of here because I think, yeah, I want this defined as a type. So we'll just grab type token response. It's going to be token as a string, expires on. It's going to be a string, and communication user ID is a string. Say that. And then that colon token response. As no, is that how you do it? No. Yeah. Wait. Oh, wait. What's expires on? Oh, it's a date. There we go. All right. Enjoy, Jack. Don't work too hard for the next couple of days. See you on Friday's stream as well. Then, huh? Or are we going to see you streaming again this week, Jack, with your new GPU when it turns up? Got to do something with your day off. I'm going to create a new folder and we'll call this pipes. You're joining the therapy session tomorrow. Okay, we'll see you for that. New file, issue token TSX. Yeah, do that. And these will be export. And then we'll import. Give it a moment. Come on, discover that. No, I'm going to have to actually type out my import statement from slash type import star as a from type slash token types. There we go. And then we are going to import star. We'll import the two things from there. Okay, so there's our token response. Doesn't like it that it's outside of the root directory. Nah, I'm just going to copy and paste the types around. Yeah, let's just copy and paste types for the time being. Easy enough. So where am I? I'm back in. I was back in Connect. Here we go. I've got response. Token response, and then we'll do set token response dot token. Okay, so that's going to set up our token. So that'll happen when we first load. Now, what we want is going to be const. We need to work out what do we do with the token then? Let's come back over to the docs. Video calling, adding video using the client calling client library. That's what we're gonna need. So we're gonna need probably gonna need both of those then. Communication common and communication calling, and call client. So so this is the code that I want to write, because this will give me the list of devices, which is going to be like the webcams and the microphones that we've got. So let's add these two missing node modules. npm i-d that. We're going to install those, communication calling. And yeah, again, I think this is going to end up probably in a context at some point. So we'll worry about that later. So we're going to do client and set client. We'll use state. That's not going to be anything at the minute. This is so annoying that I keep having to terminate all of these. That can die, and that can die, and that can die. Well, to install these dependencies. Hey, cool. First two spammers that have popped into my chat ever. I need to go find AutoMod, which my AutoMod didn't kick in. That's annoying. Now, how do I go to moderation view easily? Let's just be careful that I don't start broadcasting myself yet again. Mod view, there we are. That's muted, excellent. I don't think I can get back in there. Auto mode is turned off. Oh, well, that's problematic. Oh well. Problem solved. Okay, so all of our dependencies are installed. Pop these open. Start everything. Start everything. Back here, use state, and then that is going to be a calling client. Was that what it was called? that what it was called? No, it's a call client. Call client. Import call client. Okay, and now we're going to use effect. And this will be dependent on token. And if token, we will do set const call client equals new call client. What options we can set? That's right, there's just a logger. It's nothing interesting yet, so then we'll do set call. Set client is going to be the call client. And what did it say we need to do? We need to get the token credentials for the user token. Then we're going to create a call agent, and then we're going to do that. We're just going to create a run async method again. And the call. Here we go. We're going to import something. That will be token. So let's pass in the token as a string. And that will be a call client. So we'll set the call client, and we will run the call client and the token. And I want to go console.log device manager. Oh, what do we need the call agent for? That must be for establishing the connection. The call agent is to actually make the outbound connection. Communication user. Using the communication user we created, I wonder what we actually need to provide, because the communication user exists on the server. Didn't run that one. Whoops. Well, why has it decided that those things don't exist? Why has it deleted node modules for me? Well, I just want to get. I want to see if we can get this bit done before the end of the day. Emulator and install. We're getting close to things working. So if we can get the if we can get the emulator running, I want to see that we can display the list of devices, because that'll be cool. Like if we can get that done, that's one of the key things that we're going to need for it. Like then it's just making sure that we're displaying that that video feed in like a preview window so you can see it, which is where I'm going to need the second camera for. So yeah, fingers crossed that we can get that much done in the 11 minutes before my feed gets cut. 10 minutes? Yeah, 11 minutes. It's saying 11 minutes everywhere. Okay, oh good. There we go. // and npm run emulator. Here goes our emulator. Oh, I didn't start up any of the backend ones. Okay, let's start all of those up. Did I forget to port on? Just tried to start that on port 3. or 80, which it shouldn't do. Oh, and it seems I attempted to launch a second copy of OBS at some point. Oh, let's have a look. Package JSON. It's because I'm actually running MPX inside of there, which I don't need to do, and I did forget port 8080. There we go. Done. Now we'll run the emulator. It's a node. Everything off. The browser. It's about. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Yep. We are signed back out because the emulator restarted. Doing any sort of persistence. Let's start the call. Oh! Look at that. What have we got here? That's the device manager. Is that what? That's what I was outputting, wasn't it? Let's come back to connect. Device manager. Get device manager. Wait. Do I probably want to get camera list. That's what I want. And is that going to be? No, that's just a. Okay, let's change that. Re-hit connect. Okay, let's wait. Connect. Look at that. What have we got? Video device. There is an unknown USB camera. Doesn't have a name. It doesn't have an ID. It's not front facing. I'm gonna say yay. Maybe that's the USB camera that I've got up there. Window.getUser. No. Yeah. Window.navigator. That user media. Okay. Sol.log. No. MDN get user media. I want to see how do I actually get back the lists, like just natively in the browser. How do I get back the list of? Wait. This feature is no longer recommended. Okay. What is the recommended one? I thought it was get user media for getting like the list of cameras that are on. So that's deprecated. Ability table. Media devices. Okay, so how do I just get like a list of all potential devices from here? Enumerate devices. Let's see what this outputs. Come back up here. I have no audio input, no video input, and well, that's bizarre. Oh well. I mean, it's attempting to get devices. It just doesn't think I've got any available. I wonder if it's having issues because of the stream running. I mean, I didn't think it should have had any issues because the stream was running, but you never know. I'll have a crack at this off stream. So, like with my webcam not running. Let's just turn myself off for a minute. Where's the camera? Just go OBS. Yeah, wait, we're not showing. So let's hide it. So now my camera's gone. Yeah, it still doesn't return anything. And then I think if we were to like just reload this, turn to log in again, start a call. Yeah, it's still not giving it. It's just giving us like there's a USB camera, but that's the extent of what it's telling me about it. So I'm going to have a play around with this off stream to see if I can work out why the cameras are not getting detected. Because when I've been playing with the sample application, it has been working just fine. But the fact that this is just giving me a thing that says there's an unknown, like a USB camera without a name, seems odd. Uh, uh, I know there's somewhere in Edge settings we can check camera. Okay, so cameras. Yeah, so this is what I'd be expecting to see in the output. That there's 5 different cameras because we've got OBS running with its vertical camera, NVIDIA Broadcast, the Rio, the Live Cam, which is my secondary camera, and Logic Capture, which is the Logitech management software. I'd expect all of those to be returned as a list because these are the ones the browser is aware of. But there's something that's obviously not working that way. The fact that the media device manager doesn't return them either, like when I'm doing enumerate devices, that makes me think that there's something unusual going on here when it's happening. So I'll have a play around with this off camera to see if there's something that is actually interfering with it, and we can work around it. Otherwise, I'm actually kind of happy with where we got to though for today. While it isn't showing, or it isn't giving me access to the camera to display, it is attempting to get the devices that are available to me to then output that. Where did my thing go? Here it is. So that is the camera list, and if we go get microphone list, I should get some other stuff as well. So let's just set up a call. Audio. Yeah, again, it's just going, hey, there may be an audio device. Whereas I should actually have a couple of different audio devices because I've got my headset, which is like this Bose headset is an audio device. I've got the podcaster mic down here, which is the one that I'm actually using now to present on. Like that's an audio device, obviously. I've got NVIDIA Broadcast running, which the mic is actually going through to get rid of the background noise. So that's another audio device. I have a Bluetooth speaker that's connected, which has also got a microphone on it. It's an audio device. I have 2 screens, which are both audio devices. I have the computer, which has an audio device. Yeah, okay. So there should be more audio devices that are not getting detected. So I'll have to have a play around in that as well to see if I can find out where they're at and why I'm not getting any audio devices of there. So that's minor disappointment that I wasn't able to get kind of all of that set up today. Would have really liked it to have attempted to do that, but you win some, you lose some. Pretty happy with the level of what we got done. So I'm going to be running at this time every Wednesday for a while still. There's still a bit more to build, and once we've got the base work done to be able to implement this video calling out, then I want to start looking at how we can do the integration into Azure Service. Like, can we build real-time captioning based off of the Azure cognitive services and the audio detection, real time? Can we build that? That would be really cool. Can we do speech to text real time so that we can make it a more accessible experience to someone that doesn't have the ability to watch the stream as a video call? So could you essentially just run a transcript? How do we do that? How do you do transcript or other things? So if we're capturing the video, can we do object detection and things like that. So that's all the sort of stuff that I want to tackle going forward. But this will do it for today. Like I said, I'll be here same time next week. Till then, take care. And I'll be streaming again on Friday with my other project that I'm doing around building a time zone tool. So hopefully we'll see you there as well.